you're walking through the grocery store, chin down, eyes on the floor. But here's what nobody tells you about that lean. When's the last time you actually looked at how you walk? Stay with me. By the end, you'll know your number. I'm Atlas Reed, and this is Still Standing After 60. Subscribe, you belong here. Point 1. There's a walk almost every man over 60 develops without noticing. Chin forward, shoulders rounded, eyes locked 2 feet ahead of his own feet instead of out at the world. Most men chalk it up to age, or a bad back, or just how you walk now. It's not any of those things. It's the first visible sign of something else entirely, and by the time it's visible, it's already been building for months. There's a number attached to this. Once gait speed drops below 0.8 meters per second, call it a briskish half stroll, frailty and fall risk both rise sharply. That's not a future risk. That's a today risk, hiding inside a walk that looks almost normal from across the room. Picture carrying a laundry basket stacked slightly too high. You tip your head down and forward just to keep it balanced, and you stop trusting your peripheral vision to catch what's coming. That's what a forward lean does to a man's gait, every single step all day, without him ever deciding to do it. It also changes what he sees. Eyes locked on the ground 2 feet ahead means curbs, pets, and uneven pavement get noticed a half second later than they should, and a half second is usually the entire margin a man has to catch himself. Point 2. Here's what's actually happening under that lean. 3 things conspire to pull a man's center of gravity forward, and almost nobody works on all 3 at once. First, the posterior chain. The glutes, the hamstrings, the muscles running up the back weakens faster than most men realize. Muscle mass drops 3 to 8% per decade after it peaks, and that decline accelerates further after 60. Second, hours in a chair tighten the hip flexors, which physically pulls the pelvis and torso forward with every step. Third, and this is the one nobody talks about, leaning forward is a protective reflex. It's the body's way of shortening the fall it's afraid of before it happens. Up to 73% of older adults who've already had a fall report ongoing fear of falling lying, and that fear shows up in posture long before it shows up in words. There's research behind every part of this, so nobody has to take it on faith. And here's the part that matters most. Balance doesn't fail all at once. It fails one system at a time, quietly. The posterior chain, the hip flexors, the nervous system's confidence in its own footing until one ordinary Tuesday asks for more than what's left. The mistake almost every man makes here is trying to fix the lean by standing up straighter. That lasts about 4 steps before old patterns take back over, because posture under fatigue is decided by what the body has actually trained, not what it's told to do for a photo. Fixing this for good takes something more specific than a reminder. It takes retraining the exact mechanics that got quietly rewired in the first place, which raises the real question: what does that retraining actually look like, done right? Point 3. This is where most fitness content goes generic. Some vague cue to pull your shoulders back and move on. That's not a fix. It's a band-aid on a mechanical problem. A real fix works the posterior chain and the hip flexors together in the same session, while retraining the nervous system to trust an upright stance again, instead of defaulting to that protective lean, which is exactly the posture and gait retraining sequence that's Still Standing After 60, the complete independent system walks through step by step, start to finish. It's linked in the description below. If you're watching on TV, there's a QR code on screen right now. Grab your phone and scan it. This isn't a stretch you do once and forget. It's a sequence done consistently, because the body that rewired itself into a forward lean over months isn't going to rewire itself back out of one in a single afternoon. But once it starts working, most men notice it first, not in a mirror. They notice it on stairs, when they realize they're looking 2 steps ahead instead of down at their own feet for the first time in years. Fixing the mechanics is one thing, but mechanics alone don't hold up under real-world conditions. Uneven ground, a distraction, a moment of fatigue at the end of a long day. So what happens to that lean when life stops cooperating? Point 4. Here's the uncomfortable part. Even a man who's done the retraining work can watch the lean creep back the moment he's tired, distracted, or walking somewhere unfamiliar, because posture under pressure isn't just muscle memory. It's a full conversation between the vestibular system in the inner ear, the eyes, and the sensors in the feet and ankles that tell the brain where the ground actually is. Train the muscles alone, and you've fixed maybe half the problem. The other half is what happens when those 3 systems stop agreeing with each other, which is far more common after 60 than most men have ever been told, and it's rarely mentioned in the same conversation as posture. Try this right now, wherever you're sitting. Stand up, put your heels, your glutes, your shoulder blades, and the back of your head against a wall, all four at once. For most men over 60, what matters isn't a number off a chart. It's whether your head reaches that wall without straining, or whether there's a real gap you have to fight to close. If there's a gap, that's the forward lean talking, not your imagination, not old age. That's a specific personal answer, and now you know yours. Point 5. So here's the full picture. A forward-leaning walk isn't a cosmetic habit or an inevitable part of getting older. It's three systems working against a man without his permission: a weakening posterior chain, hip flexors shortened by hours in a chair, and a protective reflex that leans the body forward before the brain even finishes deciding it's afraid. Fix only one of those, and the other two will quietly pull the lean right back. Fix all three together: muscle, mechanics, and the nervous system's trust in its own footing. And something changes that goes well beyond posture. The stride gets longer, the head comes up, the eyes go back to where they belong, out at the world, not down at the next 2 feet of sidewalk. None of this is meant to scare anyone. It's meant to hand you one clear choice. Address the lean on your own timeline, deliberately, or wait until it makes that choice for you. A man who walks upright walks like someone who still trusts his own 2 feet under him, because he's done the specific work to earn that trust back, one system at a time. That's not a posture, that's an identity. And it's the difference between a man who's aging and a man who's still unmistakably standing. That forward lean you noticed in the mirror, or maybe just noticed in this video, it was never about age. It was three systems quietly pulling a man's center of gravity forward, waiting for someone to actually train them back into agreement. That's the work still standing after 60. The complete independent system was built to walk you through. The posture and gait retraining sequence, laid out step by step so you're not guessing at stand up straighter and hoping it holds. It's linked in the description below, or scan the QR code on screen now. Every month that lean goes untrained, it's not staying the same. It's compounding because the nervous system keeps practicing the pattern it's already in. The earlier this gets addressed, the less there is to undo. If this is the kind of training intelligence you want every week, subscribe. We put out videos weekly, and everyone is built for men serious about staying independent. I'm Atlas Reed. Keep doing the work.